am Laura Harbison, broker-owner of Realty Executives Southern Nevada Properties, and this is Real Estate Today. Today I am here with Matt Hennessy of Benchmark Mortgage, and we are going to talk about the current market, what's going on, and what you can expect here in the not-so-distant future.
Very true. We're starting to see a little bit of a uniqueness. Everything is really in cycles. So if we talk about some of the headlines that we've perhaps seen over the last couple of weeks and months, we see mortgage rates trending lower. That gives more opportunities for buyers. More homes in the market gives buyers more opportunity, of course, to look at. What do you see with sellers nowadays?
Well, I mean, we've got, comparing, because I'm always looking at the various neighborhoods and what's going on and looking at the inventory. Inventory has creeped up a little, not hugely, but what I'm noticing is although the inventory now is just a little bit more than it was, say, 6 to 8 weeks ago,
Sure.
The days on market are longer. The buyers have been kind of, peddling. They're looking, but they are, they're watching the economy. They're watching what's going on with rates. And so people are not acting as quickly. So I've been very glad to see the rates trending down because I know that will get some people off of the fence because so many of these people, they're payment sensitive,
Sure.
That type of thing. And they're watching. I think they've expected the inventory to be up more than it is. But it's definitely, we're definitely getting the traffic and just it's ramping up.
So on the buyer side, the conversations we're having, it's probably more important than ever just to have a really deep understanding what the goals that the consumer has because everybody's different, right? And sometimes they take in the data, they review it in their mind, and they are slow to, I don't want to say pull the trigger, but think about, is this the right property? Let's look at another one, and a little bit slower to react. Maybe just like you mentioned, going into the media, into their head, making sure this is the right property, the right payment, and they're comfortable today and in the future, which is perhaps the most important for a buyer today.
Well, and as much as we do with the age-restricted communities as well, we're going to kind of have a perfect storm is what I'm expecting because we're coming into the season where there's more movement. Typically we see more in the spring and the fall. We didn't have a big spring season because of what was going on, and so we've got that delayed demand. And I can tell just from the open houses that we have every weekend and the amount of people that are coming through and the comments that we're getting, they're definitely paying attention. They're paying attention to the information that, you're putting out.
Sure.
And watching those rates. And yes, we will see. We've seen a lot worse things
too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen mortgage applications, nationwide have ticked up about 30% of where they were. And it's really month over month increases. And you would say, well, gosh, are more transactions actually taking place? To our point initially is I'm getting approved, I'm ready, and I'm just now methodically looking at the opportunities that you're presenting to them.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. So they are in position in the fact that, again, that there's more people out, more people moving around, more people going through the homes. That tells me that they're close.
Yep.
So they're just waiting for you to tell them it's the right time.
Right. And you have a lot of sellers, right? We've been working together for decades. And when we talk about the majority of the consumers nationwide really have interest rates that are sub 4%. So they might not love the property and they've been looking for an opportunity for either mortgage rates to drop for them to now get out of the property that they're okay with, whether they're upsizing or downsizing or retiring, whatever it may be. But they've been really waiting on the sidelines. What conversations are you seeing right now with your sellers that are saying, is this the right opportunity for me to put my property on the market? Should I do it sooner rather than later? Any initial thoughts there?
Well, being in position, being at the right price, because a lot of people have been talking about, well, we're seeing a lot of price reductions in the market. Well, part of that is because, we have continued to see appreciation, not huge appreciation, but a lot of people have overshot, where they should be. And so, they're reevaluating, but being properly positioned, knowing that those, buyers are out and floating around and that there is, that they have choices.
Sure.
Is puts the sellers in a much better position. Coming into the next 60 days, there'll be a lot of movement.
When you see a property that's maybe on the market a little longer, setting the expectations is so important, I can imagine. As we, been doing this forever, it seems, years past, maybe that's the only thing I remember is, I could put my property in the market. I just cleaned it today. I'll call Laura and get it listed. And I'm ready to, close and buy the next one in 30 days. So days in the market a little longer. What are you setting for the right expectation if it's priced right? What should we see because you're doing a lot of open houses, you're doing everything to properly market it. What are you doing just to set that right expectation so that we're always on the same level?
Well, we have to continually review, and it varies by neighborhood and price point.
Sure.
So there's not, everyone's like, what's the days on market? Well, we can look at the average for the whole market. We can look at the average for the neighborhood. We can look at the average for the price point. So different things are applicable to different houses. So there's no one size fits all, answer for that.
Right.
So I did take a listing yesterday over in Sun City McDonald Ranch. I originally met with them almost 2 months ago, and we were looking at, okay, here's what the data, because we had the data from when we got together 2 months ago. We looked at the data yesterday from, what it was. And what was interesting in that, and they could see the trend was we had about the same number of homes on the market. Homes had sold in the meantime. It wasn't the same homes. But the days on market of the ones that were on, there were some that were, that were lagging longer, where we had looked at, the days on market of the ones that have, had closed being in the, 2 to 4 weeks range before they went under contract. And now we're seeing properties that are there, 40, 50, 60 days, some a little bit, couple a little bit more, but not any more than that. But it is, it definitely was trending up in that neighborhood. But again, the cycle of it being age restricted, we're coming into that. We'll start getting our snowbirds. We've got people, we've got about half the buyers that are cash, but the other half that are,
Sure.
Interest rate sensitive. I have seen people using their VA loans more now, and I may be seeing that in your business too. Yep. So, looking for, the help with the closing costs and things like that. So it's continuing to, change.
When we start to see, at least from the consumer's perspective, headlines that come out and say, oh, price reductions are elevated. And I imagine as you set the right expectations, you price it properly in the market, how quickly should a property move. But we all know that we would use you to sell our home if we wanted the top dollar and the shortest amount of period of time. Taking your guidance, your focus and saying, if we do this, this is what we anticipate in this range. Everybody's unique, but
right.
Are those conversations pretty general?
Yeah, well, sometimes you price less to get more because overpricing can hurt you, and then the adjustments may be more than you needed to make. So obviously proper pricing up front is important. I'm very honest and realistic with people with regards to, and just looking at, again, information from your industry, the overall information in the market, what the actual trend is. Again, no crystal ball. Yep. Nothing's perfect, but it can I've been doing this long enough, and I've closed over 7,000 transactions. I've seen it happen. The cycles are, the history does repeat itself. So, I always want to push the limit. I want to get the highest price possible. And, but if we overshoot, then we can actually stall that. The market is going to bear what's going to bear. And overpricing just makes it take longer.
Sure. I imagine there's probably 2 different types of clients you see, right? Among many others, but most of them would be, I like the top dollar. I don't care when it sells. I know it sounds really silly to say.
No, but they really do care.
But I need to be out of here in 30 days. So you have to price it accordingly and be really aggressive and watch it closely. I imagine you have those conversations every other day.
Well, and exposure too. We're such a technology industry now, with regards to all the different things and all the new things that keep coming out.
Sure.
That again, one size does not fit all. But I've designed a plan that covers me. Again, age restricted. They want paper. They want the magazines. They want Vegas Voice and Homes Illustrated and Solaris Star and all those types of things. So covering that gamut, doing really nice professional full color brochures, but also doing the virtual tour, doing the 3D tour, doing the Matterport tour, doing the video, all these different things, because we don't know where that right buyer is going to come from. There's 15,000 MLS members. Any of them could bring the highest bidder. We've got all the social media and all that is out there. And where's it going to touch the person who, that's going to be the person that's going to pay that highest price. So pricing it right and then making sure people actually know what's for sale. That is the key in this market.
You do that well.
Perfect. So if you have any questions regarding the current market or what's going on in your specific neighborhood, please feel free to give us a call. You can see the information below. Our office is open 7 days a week. So feel free to call, text, or email anytime. You can also reach Matt at Benchmark if you have questions about rates and programs and what might be the best mortgage for you. Definitely give him a call. So thank you, and we'll see you next time on Real Estate Today.